Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Narito kayo sa The Mga Has Interviews. Abay ang pag-uusapan natin, pera, bangko, at ang kalagayan ng ekonomiya mula sa isang masasabi nating pantas. Ang kagagraduate lang na governor ng Bangko Sentral, dating dekano ng UP School of Economics at may PhD from Northwestern University sa Illinois, si Governor Felipe Medalla. All right. So ngayon, parang ilang araw matapos ang turnover right. Ano yung sitwasyon, sir? Mukhang relax na relax kayo.
Well, relax na relax ako dahil hindi naman magbabago yung mundo pag hindi ako nag-relax eh. Nasa magandang kalagayan ang Bangko Sentral. Itong bagong gobernador magaling to.
Opo, mukhang talagang impressive, ano? Super ang kanyang career history. Pag-usapan po natin, sabi niyo maganda kalagayan ng Bangko Sentral. 30 taon, ano po, mula na nagkaroon ng charter. Ano yung mga maganda sa kalagayan ng Bangko Sentral?
Unang-una, yung pagkakabigay sa kanya ng independence na hindi lang sa batas kundi sa konstitusyon ay naging mabuti para sa bayan. Dahil sa tumatag yung ating tinatawag na 3 pillars. Ang 3 pillars of central banking ay price stability, banking stability, and safe and secure payments and settlement system. Of course, sa ordinaryong mamamayan, ang nakikita lang niya ay kami yung nag-iimprenta ng pera. Pero yung tatlong iyon ang napaka-importante.
Okay.
Ngayon, ang pinaka-recent event, papakita talaga ano nangyayari. Mahirap talaga pagka mataas ang inflation. Like, itong pinakahuling inflation, i-break nito yung record sa number of consecutive months na above target. Kasi ang target natin na dati, 3 to 5, matagal-tagal na yon, naging 2 to 4. Ngayon, in the past, marami na yung 15 months na state na above target. Ngayon nagsimula ito April or March last year. So malapit lang matay yung 15 months na record, at sa forecast namin baka October pa bago mag below 4, which means 18 months of straight consecutive months. Kay 18, 18 buwan, dire-diretso. Mas mataas kaysa 4% na ating target, yung inflation. Ngayon, of course, ang dahilan ay walang kinalaman sa tinatawag nating excess credit o excess liquidity, excess money supply. Ang dahilan ay tinatawag nating supply shocks. Ito namang nakaraang, pag tinignan mo, January 2022 to January 2023, 13 months yun, ano? Last year plus the first year of this year. Kasi para madali matandaan, kung ang iyong target ay 3%. By the way, ang target natin, ang gitna ng target natin 3%, ano? Okay. 2 to 4 Ang gitna ng target natin 3%. Para madali matandaan na dapat every month hindi tumataas ng more than 3 divided by 12.
Okay.
So, alam mo ba ang nangyari noong last 13 months? Isang buwan lang ang consistent sa 3 divided by 12.
Okay.
12 of the 30. And then, ang pinakamasama, yung January. 1.7% ang tinaas from December to January. Of course, ang January, kahit walang inflation, mas mataas usually yan. Kasi dyan nag-a-adjust ang mga tao ng mga kontrata eh. Pero pag tinanggal mo, ang tinatawag na seasonal effects, at least 1% ang tinaas ng presyo in just 1 month. Now, mantakin mo, kung magpapatuloy yan, 12% in 1 year.
Okay. Lagpas-lagpas. Okay. Para sa mga tao, okay, so inflation stability, ano po? Mukhang parang you have all the numbers right, pero parang medyo opaque o hindi ganun kalinaw yan o konkreto sa mga taong bayan. Ang parang naisip nila, sabi nyo, supply shocks. Pero dahil bumagal o medyo mabagal yung pag-import para magkaroon ng stability din yung prices.
Hindi, mahirap naman i-second guess din ng gobyerno kasi
Mm,
namamarka siya sa dalawang ilog eh. Kasi ayaw naman niya na
mm,
masyadong dependent sa imports ng pagkain. Mahirap din naman na totally dependent ka sa imports ng pagkain eh.
mm.
So,
Sa totoo lang
pangalawa,
po, mm,
pangalawa, kailangan maingat ka. Baka nag-import ka sa may sakit.
mm, mm,
So,
mm,
so hindi hindi naman instantaneous din ang
mm,
ability ng gobyerno mag-respond kasi siyempre pag-aaralan.
mm, mm.
Oo.
Dahilan pa
Yun.
kaya doon yung medyo wala tayong full-time na agriculture secretary at ang
Ay,
parang ang tanong ko,
hindi naman
okay,
siguro.
kasi nung parang nagkataasan, talagang sumipa, yung presyo ng sibuyas, sukal, at saka later on itong bigas, parang huli na ang lahat nung nag-i-import at nag-import nung panahon na mag-harvestan yung ating mga farmers. So parang hindi naman sila nagkaroon ng kaalwan na buhay, kundi naipit lalo sila. At sabi, mayroong hoarding na nagaganap. So hindi ko alam kung all the best things you can do sa Bangko Sentral parang naninigate o nawawala dahil ang bagal ng ating gobyerno. Medyo mayroong pang problema sa hoarding at saka mayroong parang hindi klaro kailan darating yung importation sa tamang panahon
Okay. Unang-una, ah, tingnan mo, ang rice hindi naging problema this time.
this time.
Dahil
Pero,
ang dahilan doon, nagkaroon ng tarification
mhm, mhm,
na ang ating sinasabi kung gusto proteksyonan ang mga farmers, uh, gamitin ang tarifa, wag yung bureaucracy.
mhm, mhm,
So nangyari actually magandang lesson 'yan sa rice was never a problem because naging tariffs ang protection, 35% tariff. Ang maganda doon sa tarification kasi pag malaki ang diferensya ng presyo sa Pilipinas sa labas ng Pilipino, para kang may gold mine pag nakakuha ka ng right to import, ano?
correct. Mhm,
Ngayon, ang nangyari sa rice tarification, ang difference ng presyo makukuha ng gobyerno kasi magbabayad ka ng tariff eh.
mhm,
At ang tariff naman yan, pwedeng itulong sa farmers.
mhm,
So, yan ang lesson sa tarification. Of course, pag sinabi mo yun sa mga farmers, they're not happy. Gusto talaga nila is the bureaucracy that protects them.
mhm.
Pero kung ako tatanong mo as economist, ang best balancing is kung gusto mo talaga proteksyonan kahit sino, taasan mo ang tarifa.
Mhm,
At
mhm,
hindi mo kailangan ng negosyante ang magde-decide
mhm.
kung mag-i-import o hindi gobyerno. Kasi
All
the moment gobyerno mapopoliticize masyado,
all right.
this politicization of the importation decision will clearly slow it down.
Correct. Mhm,
So
mhm.
we cannot blame that on any administration. And what we actually say as economists, let's learn from tarification.
Mhm,
At dalawa ang benefits. Yung isa, ang gobyerno ang makakakuha ng diferensya ng presyo
mhm.
between the source country and the Philippines. At yun mismo pwede itulong sa mga farmers na nasaktan sa imports.
All right. Okay.
Pangalawa, mas mabilis ang response kasi ang ang mga tao na nag-i-import, pagka nagkamali siya ng timing, malulugi siya. Ngayon, may sektor na napakahirap kasi ang lakas naman by the way, the protection system is older than me.
Correct.
That's sugar. That's
Will
sugar.
always be with us forever, maybe.
By the way, in the past, it decided who will be president.
Correct.
Dapat magdebate tayo as a country. Paano ba natin poproteksyonan ang pinaka-vulnerable na
Tor.
sektor natin?
Mhm.
Ngayon, kung ang gobyerno ay run by angels, and angels are smart, and of course, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I fill in the blanks.
Mm.
Talaga superior yung gobyerno ang magre-regulate ng imports.
Mhm.
Tayo mga ekonomista, ang ating belief, whether self-interest is the most powerful force, whether explaining behavior of businessmen, explaining behavior of bureaucrats,
Or politicians.
explaining behavior of politicians.
Mhm.
If you are in that setting, find more market-friendly ways of helping people. And right now, like it or not, tarification is the solution.
All
Then
right.
let's let the debate be how high the tariffs should be, and maybe which months are no importation months and which months are importation months.
Okay.
Then magiging simple yung debate. Of course, you will now have the problem which will stare you in the face whatever system you have, which is smuggling.
Okay, correct.
Kasi kung government decided ang imports, lalong sumasama ang smuggling dahil nga mas malaki lalo yung price difference.
All right. Okay.
So yan ang akin lang, yun lang aking payo. Tingnan natin ang lessons from price
Clarification.
tarification.
And Governor, there could be a limit to what yung mga central bankers can do. Sabi ninyo, okay, ito inflation target, over the target, pero ito dapat ang increase lang by month on month. Pero parang sa ordinaryong mamamayan, ang issue is pagka may inflation na gano'n ng sipa, yung purchasing power niya ay lumiliit. Parang yung simple lang sa kanya, yung piso ko dati, ngayon siguro ay halagang 60 centavos na lang ang mabibili sa patong sipa ng presyo.
Kasi kung mag-isip ang mga tao sa inflation, they do not look at it compared to 5 years ago. Of course, compared to 5 years ago, talaga lalong masakit. Correct. They think about it one month to the next, right? Correct. Tsaka yung inflation na yon, average yun. Kung ikaw yung malakas kumain ng sibuyas, medyo masakit, ano?
Correct. Food inflation.
Tsaka kung ikaw ay mahirap, mas malaki actually ang share ng food. Correct. Sa inflation. So in reality, for the poor, because food was the initial source of inflation, this inflation hurt a lot more than suggested by the numbers. Halimbawa, nung nag-8% year on year, can you imagine, in 1 year, kung hindi ka nagkaroon ng increase, para kang nagka-salary cut.
Okay, correct.
8%, di ba?
8%.
Kung mahirap ka, baka 12% yun kasi mas malaki yung share ng pagkain. Talaga, hindi talaga. Masakit talaga. So, kaya napaka-importante ng inflation. At kaya nga, pillar number 1 namin yan. Ano ba ang target inflation? Sabi natin, 2 to 4. The central bank must do everything in its power that it's between 2 and 4. Now, ang problema, ano lang ba naman yung tools namin? 3 lang.
Correct.
Yung isa, tataas namin yung interest. By the way, yan, may negative side effect din yan.
Correct.
Babagal yung inflation. Yung isa, nagbebenta kami ng dolyar. Of course, kung exporter ka, hindi ka natutuwa na ginagawa namin yun. Ano? Okay, yung isa naman, mismong yung supply ng liquidity, kinokontrol namin.
Money supply.
Kasi ang aming method dyan, nanghihiram kami ng pera sa bangko.
Correct.
Para mabawasan yung pera nila na pwedeng pautang. So yun ang tools namin, 3 lang. Ano? Money supply control, interest rate, and then, of course, foreign exchange intervention. And but simple as those 3 tools are, it has kept the record was at most 15 months na above target. By the way, kung may isang napakalaking inflation in just 1 month, that will be 12 straight months. Kasi ang year on year kasi parang nare-report yung the same event 12 times eh.
All right, average. Okay.
So in other words, talagang nandiyan ang tools ng central bank, but kailangan magkaroon din tayo ng discussion as a nation. Paano ba natin poprotektahan ang mga farmers? Dapat ba natin gayahin yung experience sa rice na dagdagan na lang ang duty
Okay.
At tanggalin mo na yung birokrasya at pakikinabangan pa natin yung revenue. Of
Mm.
course, kung ikaw naman yung rice farmer, sabihin mo, balik tayo sa dati.
Okay. All right.
Gusto ko mas mataas yung presyo gusto ko
Mm.
mas mataas ang presyo ng bigas.
Okay. Pero sir, sa totoo lang, sa tunay na buhay, kung meron namang ganung maayos na monetary policy, ano po, o sa price stability ang Bangko Sentral, sana naman ay gumalaw din, ano, yung ibang ahensya ng gobyerno ng tama.
Actually,
Mhm.
nag-form naman si Presidente precisely ng isang grupo para mas mabilis ang response.
Mabilis ba?
Well, ang nagpapabagal talaga yung nagdidebate eh.
Oo
Oo,
nga.
gagawin ba natin yan? Hindi.
All
Lagi,
right.
palaging may galit na galit eh pag kami nag-i-import ka eh.
Okay. Pero pag
Tapos, ang pinaka-extreme pa, ay paano yan? Pag namatay ang mga farmers natin na walang gana magtanim, edi totally dependent na tayo sa import. At pag kami masamang nangyari sa labas ng Pilipinas, kawawa naman tayo.
all right. Okay.
So, dapat din natin i-discuss yung issue ng food security.
Exactly.
Oo, kasi ang isang method of food security is dapat may stocks. Para
Inventory.
pagka nagkaroon talaga ng kaguluhan sa labas ng Pilipinas, may supply pa rin tayo.
All right. Okay.
At management ng stock na yon. Kasi pag hindi magaling ang management ng stock na yon, pwede mabulok.
Okay.
Magtira. Ano? At saka kung mali yung timing nung kailan binibili yung stock, baka magastos. So expertise din na kailangan dyan. No?
Okay. Nandun ho ba? Maayos ho ba yung pag-manage ng stocks o pag-anticipate ng inventory gap? Kasi parang dito sa nakaraang taon, yung mga kwento is hindi lang hoarding at smuggling hanggang ngayon sa Bureau of Customs, bilyones daw yung inilabas na mga imported items na walang ganong malinaw na pagbabayad ng taxes, ano? Meron hong hoarding at saka smuggling ng sibuyas. Nagkaroon ng hoarding at smuggling din daw ng asukal. Pero wala kang maririnig kung ano yung nangyari, ano yung ganap. Meron bang nakasuhan, meron bang parang recovery man lang ng mga ipinundar na pera para dito sa mga imports na to at taxes na dapat makolekta.
By the way, ako batandaan ako kaya natatandaan ko kahit kailan may problema eh.
Correct.
Halimbawa, nung panahon Alcala,
Mm-hmm.
Sir Alcala, remember nagka-shortage ng bawang.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
At pag binasa mo yung report na galing sa Department of Justice, which was then headed by Leila de Lima, ang sabi, nagkaroon ng kartel dahil mga miyembro lang ng kartel ang nakakukuha ng import permit.
All right. Okay.
Tapos ito namang kartel ang ginawa, hindi ginamit fully yung kanilang permit. So alam nila na magkaka-shortage kasi sila mismo yung nag-cause ng shortage.
Okay.
Tapos bago nila ginawa yan, namili na sila ng bawang locally. So doble tubo. Tubo siya dahil habang mura, nabili niya, siya yung may inside information na magmamahal eh. Tubo siya, nagmahal na siya parang nag-i-import. Okay, so clearly, pag hindi maingat, yung permitting, pwedeng magamit to cartelize.
All right.
And there's too much temptation along the way. Ngayon, doon naman sa onions, may special problem. Ang storage ng onion is very unique.
Correct.
The temperature and humidity must match the onions. Kasi yung onion baka hindi, tsaka baka tumubo yan, mamaya halaman na yan eh. So, yun ang mahirap. Kasi kaya mas madali rin na-cartelize dahil nagkaroon ng apparently somebody control the storage. Okay. So, ang importante therefore is dapat yung ating marami man tayong batas laban sa price fixing.
All right.
At of course, hindi ganun kadali kasi kailangan makita mo kung saan iniimbak, ma-read mo yon at maparusahan mo. Ano? So, hindi ganun kadali. Pero, ang sinasabi ko, kung hindi kung at least ang pag-import ay decentralized at hindi makakartelize dahil kahit sino mag-import pwede,
Mhm.
mas mahirap gumawa ng kartel.
Mhm. Mhm. Ngayon, ang problema ko pagka tinignan yung kwentong bayan at saka sa mga reports na nagagawa namin, yung mga nabibigyan ng permit to import, medyo hitik sa listahan ng mga kamag-anak, kaibigan, o yung same-same na parang dati nasabit na sa kwento na nag-hoard or parang ito mga kartel. Parang ang mabagal ho yata yung aksyon ng gobyerno na sige, pagkatapos ng press release na ni-raid itong kumpanya na to o yung warehouse na to na may hoarding daw, wala namang nangyayari pagkatapos, tas ulit na
Well,
naman.
let's not blame that completely on Department of Agriculture.
Mhm.
Okay, let's go further. Marami kang napapatay dyan hanggang ngayon hindi pa napaparusahan yung killer eh.
Correct. Oh.
So that was the justice system itself is well, by the way, we are a normal country, unfortunately. It's hard to be an abnormal country. At ang
Mhm.
tawag doon ay naging developed country ka. No?
Mhm. Mhm.
At mabibilang mo sa dalawang kamay mo, well, actually kung titingnan mo, yung countries that took just 1 or 2 generations to become developed, mabibilang mo sa isang kamay mo, sa daliri ng isang kamay mo.
Mhm.
Ano ba? China,
Mhm.
ang bilis, miracle. Japan, miracle. Korea, miracle. Ngayon, Singapore naman is a city, so let's not include that as the exception. So, Vietnam now.
Mhm.
At ang mapapansin mo, unique yung mga history nila.
Mhm. Dahil?
Alam mo ba, ang Vietnam, kalit-lit niyang bansa, hindi siya nasakop
Mhm.
hindi siya nasakop
Colonizers, walang colonial history.
nasakop siya ng French, pero na-expel niya.
Mhm.
At
Mhm.
nung pumasok ang Amerikano to take over, nagsisi si Amerikano.
Mhm. Mhm.
At habang kinakarpet bombing sila, buhay sila kasi nakatira pa sa ilalim ng lupa.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, it's a... So, pag tinignan mo, in fact, ano pa, history ng Korea, iba, unique din sila. History ng Japan, unique din sila. History ng, of course, China. But by the way, ayoko naman na pagdaanan natin yung pinagdaanan ng China just to get where they are, ano?
Mhm.
Ilang milyon tao yung namatay sa mga famines nila, sa mga purges nila.
Mhm.
So I think we have to also understand that development of a country requires development of its institutions.
Correct. Oh.
By definition, an underdeveloped country will have underdeveloped
Ibig
institutions.
sabihin,
Hindi hindi
compromise.
hindi
Mhm.
ganun kadali, hindi ganun kadali.
Mhm.
In fact, again, look at we had our own experiment, the New Society,
Mhm. Mhm.
which in my view was quite successful, 72 to say 80.
All right.
But somewhere along the way, may parang naligaw. No?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So, yun, that's what we have to realize. And that's why journalists like you have a role to play.
Ang
Kasi
daming
kailangan ma-explain sa mga tao na ito yung proseso eh. Ngayon, ako natatakot ako sa proseso natin dahil ang aking tinatanong sa sarili ko, magkano kailangan gastusin mo para maging congressman ka?
Mhm.
At wala akong natanong nagsabi na $5 million eh.
Mhm.
Usually, I say $5 million, they say higher.
Correct. Kahit may campaign spending limit.
Oo, tapos namimili ng boto.
Mhm. Mhm.
Tapos yun naman butante, tama naman siya.
Mhm.
Pare-pareho lang sila.
Mhm.
Kaya,
So,
boboto ko na lang yung nagbigay sa akin ng pera. So, even yung behavior of vote selling is rational.
okay.
Dahil ang nangyari, kung matino ka, hindi ka saksakan ng yaman, at hindi ka artista, anong chance mo na
Manalo sa eleksyon.
manalo sa eleksyon? At kung mastos ka naman ng malaki,
Paano mo babalik 'yon?
Dalawa lang ang possibilities. Mahal na mahal mo ng bayan o gusto mong bawiin, di ba?
Okay. Alright. So,
Okay.
ngayon,
So yun ang problema, di ba?
all right. What I'm getting is, Governor, all the best economic monetary policies did fly out the window kasi we have
Hindi naman fly out the
compromised,
window.
corrupted institutions and agencies. We have politics na talagang rent-seeking o parang
Hindi naman out the window.
Mhm.
Imagine what it would have been if the central bank was not independent.
All right. Okay.
Okay, at saka, well, by the way, let's not be down on ourselves too much. Sa nakakausap ko, sabi nila, ang Pilipinas magaling sa tatlong areas.
Okay. Ano?
Monetary policy,
All right.
fiscal policy.
Okay.
Yung spending is not out of control. And then, so pangatlo, magaling sa debt management.
Okay, debt management.
Wag kang mangungutang na napakalaki nagmamature in 1 year. Ngayon, saan tayo hindi magaling?
Okay.
Infrastructure. Kasi kung maganda infrastructure, tataas ang productivity. Bababa yung diferensya sa magkano natatanggap ng farmer at magkano binabayad ng consumer. Win-win, ano? Can you imagine? Tumaas yung tinatanggap ng magsasaka at bumagsak ang binabayad ng tagabayan. Pareho silang panalo.
All right. Okay.
So, yan ang mga bagay na hindi tayo world class, ano?
Pero hindi nyo sinabi na maayos din tayo sa press relations, publicity, optics, ano po? Lalo na yung ating mga politiko. Parang palagi na lang may bagong I promise to fight for the poor. Lahat sila, no? Poverty ang isang issue, corruption ang issue. Pero ulit-ulit yung mga problemang yun, nandito pa rin sa atin.
Hindi, ang solusyon doon is how do you get people who are not willing to spend money to represent us?
To win also in elections.
Yeah, to win, to run and win. I think that problem has to be solved. You know? That I think is at the root of our problem, which is, okay, baka ngayon mas yung pumupunta sa pork barrel, kung yan ang nagpunta sa infrastructure, can you imagine how much better the country economy will be?
At marami daw take down amounts sa iba't ibang departamento.
Correct.
Yes, pati actually sa mga ICT projects.
By the way, let's not get down on ourselves too much. Ang Amerika, sa katutak ang Nobel Prize winner dyan, ang pinamilian nila si Biden at si Trump. Ano?
Okay.
So hindi madali ang demokrasya. Ang problema, mas nakakatakot yung alternative, I think. Although may mga bansa na nagsabi na kaya sila umunlad, yung initial phase nila, okay, Korea, you associate that with Park Chung-hee.
Correct.
Taiwan, you associate that with Chiang Kai-shek and his son. Now, China, you attribute that to a combination of two things. Mao, who changed the political landscape, and Deng Xiaoping, who changed the economic management. Ano? So pag tinignan mo yun, nakatakot din yung past na yun. Ano? Ilan history. Tsaka si Deng Xiaoping mismo, tsaka yung kanyang anak. Nahirapan. Muntik na. Si Deng Xiaoping. So in other words, wala tayong path, I think, kundi demokrasya. Pero kaya ang ating pag-usapan, paano natin i-improve yung ating demokrasya? Paano natin i-improve yung ating politika?
Alright.
At paano natin i-improve na hindi man masyadong magastos para magsilbi sa bayan?
Alright. Governor, nabanggit nyo kanina debt management. Ano po? Ngayon, ang mga tao natatakot dahil sabi nila, abot na ng 4 trillion pesos yung ating parang dinadagdag na pambayad, utang. Ngayon, kwento nyo nga ho, ang Bangko Sentral ba nag-aalala na baka masyado tayong utang ng utang, wala tayong pambayad? Meron bang combination ito ng local borrowing from private banks dito at saka foreign. Kasi mukhang malaking bagay ho yun, ano? Na ikwento nyo nga ho, asan ang estado natin pagdating sa debt management?
Ang pinakamaganda kasi sa atin, ang malaking bahagi ng utang ng ating gobyerno ay T-bills at saka T-bonds.
Okay.
Nakakautang siya directly sa populasyon.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
At nakakautang siya ng mahaba.
Mm-hmm.
10 years, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So may tiwala ang mga tao na pag ang utang ay domestic currency, siguradong babayaran.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Kasi ang mahirap lang naman kung nagka-shortage ng foreign exchange at hindi kaya magbayad ng utang. Pero yung domestic debt, isa lang ang worry ng mga tao.
Mm-hmm.
Anong value ng pera pag binayaran na ako?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
So in other words, napaka-importante rin sa gobyerno na may tiwala ang mga tao sa inflation target. Otherwise, kasi ba, sinabi ko sa iyo, 10% ang interest. Sabi mo, mataas, ano?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Relative to 2 to 4%, that's high. Pero kung ang inflation mo ay 12,
talo
mababa yun. Di ba? So, yun ang importanteng mangyari and which we have been successful so far. Na ang gobyerno natin, almost 75% of its debt is in pesos and borrowed from the Filipino public. In addition, nakakahiram din siya ng dolyar directly sa mga Pilipino. Ang tawag doon, retail treasury bond. So ang magandang balita, mas malaking laki ng proportion ng utang ng gobyerno natin na galing din sa Pilipino. Domestic internal debt. No? Ngayon, yun namang right now, yung foreign debt mura. Kasi dahil sa nangyari humina yung ekonomiya ng mga rich countries, nagbagsakan yung interest rates. Of course, now recently, nagtaas ang US. Pero by historical standards, mababa pa rin. Pangatlo, malaking tiwala ng mundo na magbabayad tayo ng utang. Kaya yung hindi tayo risky, kaya yung interest na sinisingil sa atin, hindi malaki yung premium. Halimbawa, nung ako'y nasa NEDA, pag nangutang ng US ng dollars na 6%, tayo 12%. Ang ibig sabihin nun, bakit dollar, parehong dollar yung utang, parehong 10 years, bakit yung atin mas mataas by 6%? Kasi sabi nila may chance na hindi tayo magbabayad. Kaya mabawi na sa high interest. Halimbawa, magbabayad ka ng mataas na interest, nag-default ka sa 7th year, at least malaki ng portion na bawi dahil mas mataas yung interest. Ano? So, yun ang importante na ma-maintain natin yan. Kasi nung nasa gobyerno ako, 6% yung dagdag. Ngayon, 1% na lang yung dagdag.
Okay.
So, affordable yung debt. Mababa yung interest sa rich countries, although tumaas na, mababa pa rin. At mababa yung spread. Kaya manageable ang debt natin. As long as lumalago ang ating ekonomiya, yung ating capacity to pay will grow faster than our debt. So, magiging patient yung mga lenders. Ang problema is, ito tanong lagi ng mga so-called rating agencies, suppose hindi mangyari yung ating inaasahan that the economy will grow at 6% or higher.
Correct.
Ano mangyayari dyan? Of course, ang sagot dyan, then revenue will not grow as fast.
Correct. Ang collection.
Ang tanong ngayon sa amin, nila, saan nyo kukunin ngayon? Magbabawas ba kayo ng spending? Pag nabawas mo ng spending, ang dami rin kawawa.
Correct.
Magtataas ba kayo ng buwis? Marami rin kawawa.
Lahat kawawa.
So, ang usual sagot, i-improve namin ang tax administration. Kasi, pag tinignan mo yung VAT halimbawa, dapat yan, 12% of GDP, kasi 12% yung VAT, may mga exempted. Let's say, 8% of GDP. Bakit? 6% of GDP lang siya.
Mhm, mhm,
So,
mhm.
maraming nagbebenta na wala resibo.
Okay. Asan yung 2% na
O
dapat?
tapos, okay, ito. Ilan ang kilala mo na self-employed businessman?
Mhm,
Kumpara mo yung tax mo sa kanila,
mhm,
mas
mhm,
mataas yung sayo.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
Okay, so self-employed businessman will keep ang joke nga, 3 books eh.
mhm. 3,000.
One, one for the taxman, one for the wife, and one for himself. Ano?
Correct.
So,
The wife.
kasi, marami rin siya tinatago sa asawa niya eh. So,
Oh,
kaya
yung
Kaya
mm,
ngayon, paano makukolektahan ng buwis yan? Eh, yung asawa nga niya, hindi alam kung magkano kinikita niya eh. Kaya naman, dapat i-improve yung
tax
para tax
administration.
administration. Of course, ang nakakatakot niyan, eh, magkuntsaba yung self-employed businessman at saka yung tax collector, magkuntsaba na
Mm, mm,
magsinungaling tayo pareho about your income.
mm, mm, mm.
Of course, ang lugi ang gobyerno at ang mga tao.
Okay. Quick question din, Governor. Talaga naman dapat walang ganong conspiracy ano, yung taxman at yung taxpayer. Pero maliliit pero marami man no, yung small businessman na binabanggit ninyo. Ang tila sa nakikita namin ano sa mga kwento na ginawa, storya na ginawa namin, ang malaking gold mine na hindi natatap yung real property tax. Real property tax lalo na nung ating mga mayayamang tao, mga politiko, whether national o local officials yan, na hindi nagbabayad ng amilyar. Bakit ho kaya hindi yun? Kasi part ho yun ng parang kung may tax admin, although local government units, ano po, pang tustos sana ng kanilang budget yan. Pero bakit ho yun parang hindi gumagalaw?
Tama ka
Besides that,
dyan. Tama
real
ka dyan.
property tax ni President BBM na sabi final and executory na no yung Supreme Court ruling. Bakit parang walang kiber ngayon? Walang kibo, walang nagaganap.
I don't want to talk about any particular case.
Okay.
Pero, okay, kasi valuation eh. The valuation decision is actually voted upon by the council,
Local government.
the local government. At syempre, nagbabalansya rin siya kung masyado namang up-to-date yung... By the way, there was a time na above market yung real estate. Dahil, remember, nagkaroon na real estate boom.
Mm.
Biglang bumagsak ang
Mm.
presyo. So I remember I had a property that pinaplano ko pagpagawa ng bahay ko na na-notice ko mas mataas yung zonal valuation kaysa market eh. So so some of the decisions are political na anong
Mm.
valuations at
Mm.
anong capping, ano
Mm.
yung capping ng valuation. So remember, ang politiko naman tumatakbo rin yan
Mm.
at syempre yan popular din yung
Tataasan.
mas yung tataasan mo yung valuation. Ano?
Mm.
So, ngayon, tama ka doon. Kung ang local governments were less dependent on the national government,
Malaking
then
ba?
maybe what the national government shares could be reduced so that part of that money can go to
Okay.
infrastructure, especially with the so-called Mandanas ruling,
Sila ruling.
which increased the share of the local governments.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
Ang ako lang masasabi, halos lahat ng okay, dalawang klase kasing reforma.
Mm.
Yung isang reforma, stop all the stupid things you're doing. Yan, madali yan. Signature lang ng presidente. Tapos na.
Mm.
Okay, let me give you an example. Ang dami-dami ng araw, mga government agencies nagpapautang.
Mm.
Totally ineffective. At distracts them from what they should be doing. Oh, nagkaroon ng ganong desisyon. Pwede na lang hindi pwedeng magpautang ang mga government agencies at if it's aid, call it aid. And therefore, the best source of it should be DSWD. Yun, ganong klaseng reforma na you're out of there and you're now more focused on things. Okay, dati, ano bang ating pan? Dati, tayo, ang dami nating taripa.
Mm.
Ang raise natin, 30 yata yung tariff raise natin. So it only encourage more corruption, more just reclassifying
Mm-hmm.
the imports will have tremendous savings. So katakot-takot ang negotiation. So yun, na-reform din natin yun. Dati, ang dami nating taxes, pinarta natin ng single rate na VAT.
Correct.
Tapos, tama naman, sinama natin ang gasolina at langis sa VAT. And because of that, tumaas ang tiwala ng mga nagpapautang na mababayad tayo, bumaba yung interest rate. Okay. By the way, that one is easy from the point of view of implementation, but difficult politically.
Correct.
Kaya yan ang problema. Yung mga madadali, yung ibang madadali, from an implementation standpoint, you do not need a very skilled bureaucracy. In fact, it requires a simpler bureaucracy. Sometimes naman, ang kalaban mo dyan ay may tatamaan.
Correct.
Sa politika rin, ano? So, but at the same time, ang akin naman masasabi, pag tinignan mo ng Pilipinas, hindi siya kulelat, ano? Saka naman nakakita ng ekonomiya rin na until COVID, the economy was growing 6.5% per year for more than 10 years. Hindi din matatawanan ng capacity ng ekonomiya natin. Of course, you can argue that a big part of it is magaling ang Pilipino.
So, W remittances.
Tsaka yung BPO, halimbawa. So, ang question doon, kung magaling ang Pilipino, bakit yung magagaling ng mga taong yan, wala sa politika? So, napapansin na, sino ba itong author na ito from AIM, Ronald Mendoza? Nakakatawa nga, may classification pa siya ng dynasty.
Fat and thin.
Oh, parang galing sa champoy hindi ba? Bakit nagkaganon? Bakit naging family business ang politika?
Pero Governor, din nyo na-mention yung tax incentives. Ang daming protected industries. Although parang isa sa malaking grupo dyan, syempre yung real estate, mula pag-import ng elevator at mga gamit nila, medyo may tax incentives. Yun ba under review o sinasuggest nyo? Kasi parang tila gipit ang BIR pagka sinek nila kasi legally naka-acquire ng tax incentive sa DTI. So yung kukombine ba nung ganong implementation, siguro to ulit madali, pero syempre napupolitika yung tax incentives regime.
Okay, dalawang klase kasi. Yung isa kasi, sabi nila, ang locator ng negosyo nila puro exporters.
Correct. PEZA, mga ganon.
That you can probably justify, no?
Correct.
Pero ang mahirap doon, okay, bigyan natin ng halimbawa. Senior citizen discount. Senior citizen, what's to prevent a corrupt retailer to have a list of senior citizens? Tapos sabihin, dito ko binenta itong aking mga produkto
Discounted.
So pinahirap natin ang administration ng VAT. Because of the senior citizen exemption from VAT. Pero subukan mo, tanggalin yung exemption na yon. At bigyan mo na lang ng direct subsidy yung mga mahihirap na senior citizen. By the way, I don't think I deserve that. Pero siyempre, binigay sa akin, gagamitin ko, ano? So, yun ang irony, ano? Yung, sino ba nakaka-afford punta na restaurant? Sino ba ang nakaka-afford
ng airplane travel?
Oh, yeah. So many times, you may want to get rid of an exception because even if it though actually helps a few people who should get help, it will be abused as a loophole by others. Right. So yan ang tawag yan, simplification. Pero again, ang hirap. I've been part of tax reform committees of the Ramos administration, Estrada administration, the Aquino administration. Kahirap-hirap talaga. Kasi talagang ang lakas din ng lobbies for these exceptions. So, ngayon, ang isa pang reforma, i-improve yung BIR at saka customs and apply modern technology na kung electronic, kung hindi pa nakakarating yung goods, na settle na lahat yung taxes.
Okay.
And
Para
then meron kang database ng mga importers na ang ganda ng track record. So yan, lahat yan gagawin mo na lang electronically. Tapos makaka-focus ka ngayon doon sa mga talagang mas delikado na magdadaya. So yung administration mismo at professionalization ng both BIR at customs.
customs.
Ang aking own assessment, to many of them, salaries are not important. Kasi nung nagkaroon ng, ayaw ko, panahon ba ni GMA ito, yung tinatawag na IRMA, Internal Revenue Modernization Act, ang galing natin Pilipino sa acronyms, IRMA, ang proposal doon, multiply by 4 or 5 yung salary, pero tatanggalin sila sa civil service protection sa tenure. Performance-based. Alam mo kung sino naglabi laban sa batas na yon?
Sino po?
Mga taga-BIR. So ayaw nila ma-quadruple yung sweldo nila. So,
kasi may ibang source.
Ako hindi ako matalino kaya hindi ko alam kung bakit. So yun ang other thing that has to be met head on. Kasi ang mahirap kasi sometimes, lalo na sa customs, na alam mo nangyari sa customs, dahil sa reforma natin, simple na, mababa na ang taripa, single rate na 12%, So pero at the same time, ang away dyan sa valuation, sasabihin ng customs, hindi ako naniniwala sa resibo mo. Ang problema, pag natenga naman yung mga ini-import mo sa customs, sa pier, ang laki-laki ng gastos mo. So many businessmen are forced to negotiate even if gusto na nila magbayad ng ayos.
Labas na yung kanilang imported item.
Yeah, kaya yung reformang yan, that I think has been talked about for a long time. Professionalizing both BIR and customs, pay them high salaries, but if they don't meet the targets continuously, they can be removed.
Okay. Governor, punta tayo dun sa parang kinabukasan ng BSP. Di ba po, meron sa charter ninyo na dapat kayo'y mag-raise ng sufficient liquidity o equity, Pero may Maharlika. Alam ko na ang inyong opinion recently, ayos na sa inyo yung version ng Senado na ipinasa. At ngayon,
respond lang.
Ngayon, ano po may concern pa ba kayo sa impact nitong Maharlika sa Bangko Sentral at sama na natin yung Land Bank at DBP kasi mukhang yun yung pagkukunan ng initial equity nitong Maharlika. Ang dalawang pwede daw mangyari, it will be so good or it will be so bad. Meron bang senaryo kayong nakikitang so good?
Well, ang so good is it turns out may isang problema na nangangailangan ng concentrated attention and strategic spending.
All right.
Okay, what can I think about? I think, for instance, the transition from coal to renewable. If that fund can play a strategic role in that, malaking tulong.
Okay.
So, ang view ko kasi is more like Indonesia. Dapat yung fund. It's attracting investors to key areas.
Infrastructure development mainly.
Yeah, key areas, and whatever that is as defined by government. The other view of the Sovereign Wealth Fund is saan mo ilalagay yung sobrang mong pera?
Para kumita.
Meron kang oil deposit that will last 30 years. Pero gusto mo naman makinabang ang tao ng 60 years. Therefore, hindi mo gagastusin lahat. Iipunin mo yung kalahati. Paano may mamanage yun? Ang tingin ko, yung pangalawa is not applied to us. Kasi wala naman tayong surplus funds. Dapat nakafocus doon sa strategic part. So kung magaling ang papatakbo niyan at by the way, hindi ganun kadali maghanap ng tao na malakas ang loob na tatanggapin yon kasi pwede kang you can end up failing eh.
Correct.
So talagang worth it siya.
Mm-hmm.
So at the same time, ang isa pang problema diyan is suppose it works this administration, how do you not how do you prevent it from being abused later on, which is what happened sa Malaysia. Hindi naman siya kaagad inabuso eh, pero later on naabuso siya. Ngayon, ang akin namang tingin is there were enough safeguards put in by the Senate.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And the view that it's a strategic fund rather than an asset management fund.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Is also there. So in my view, at tapos yung central bank magko-contribute lang, hindi siya directly nagko-contribute. Ang nangyayari lang, yung dividend na i-declare din naman ng central bank, whether sovereign fund or no fund, mapopospone lang yung kasi ang kalahati ng dividends babalik sa BSP.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Until mahit ang 150 billion peso capitalization. Ngayon, yun naman 150 billion na capitalization, it's not needed right now. Kasi ganito nangyari. Halos lahat ng utang ng central bank, pesos.
Mm-hmm.
And then halos lahat ng utang niya until tumulong ang central bank sa gobyerno dahil sa COVID, dollars. Mm-hmm. Lahat ng kanyang assets. Mm-hmm. So, nanalo ang central bank nung nag-weaken ng peso.
Nag-weaken ng peso.
And right now, that's much more than the required capitalization. Mm-hmm. So the capitalization can wait. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, that's the way central banks are structured when because they are effectively a form of insurance. Eh. Mm-hmm. Pag bumabagsak ang foreign exchange, a well-managed central bank should gain.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Kasi yun talaga ang job niya eh, magbenta ng foreign exchange pag nagigipit eh. So dahil doon, pwedeng i-postpone yung capitalization. So wala akong objection sa effect sa central bank. Ano?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Pero yun nga, ang talking as a citizen rather than as a central banker, ano bang magandang pwedeng magawa ng fund? And a good example seems to me is Indonesia. It is a fund that will encourage foreign investors to go to government's priority project. Siguro pag nakikita ng foreigner na the fund is also investing there, they will not be afraid to invest their own money.
All right. Ngayon, ang tanong mo is, do we really need it? Kasi di ba may National Development Plan naman tayo, may PDP. Meron din naman tayong identification ng priority investment areas. Tapos meron din tayong parang internal efforts to generate loans or PPPs. Para saan ho yung Maharlika pa?
Well, the lesson from Indonesia is if you need a fund that needs focus, then it's good to have such a fund. And of course, the question is the extent to which that fund will be credible to the foreign investors. Ang tingin ko nakatulong sa Indonesia kasi sa Indonesia naman, ang focus nila is dami nilang minerals, export unprocessed. So they decided na increase ang domestic processing. So I think in a strange way ang pangalan ng fund nila INA, INA. I don't know if they meant that. I don't know what INA means in Indonesia, but so in that particular sense, if we will do it like Indonesia, I think, and of course, assuming good governance, it will be a good thing. If your view is it's just an asset management fund, not a strategic fund, then we do not have the excess funds to be managed.
Correct. But do you need, let's say, kung magkaroon man ng Maharlika board, at yung admin team, do you really need them when you have already the brightest people in NEDA, in Bangko Sentral, in DTI?
I think you need a more focused group than Bangko Sentral, NEDA, and DTI.
All right.
So, but I guess it's really a question of what are the odds that that will happen? No?
Correct.
Now, ngayon naman, sa laki na ng energy na nagamit dyan, I think it's a good idea to
To push
to
it.
to
To
push
try
it,
it.
but make sure that its focus is not asset management, but its focus is strategic, and that it will be headed by the right people.
Alright. Pero ang totoo, nag-start siya as sovereign wealth fund, asset management. Medyo
Yes.
kumambyo along the way. Ano po? Ngayon, parang tipong development fund, halos,
Yes.
internal
Yes.
projects, tapos energy, yun yung mga minimension na sektor. Pero we really have projects for those sectors already na strategic. Ang point is, should we spend on a team that could be so expensive and
Well,
cut
it doesn't have to be that expensive, right?
Ano? Sabi nila
Oh,
baka mahal.
Yeah, well, let's say it's 2% of the assets that at most 2% of assets that you manage.
Correct.
Ngayon kung for instance, if it will actually add further to PPP by if that fund becomes a very good in development of contracts that are easy to bid out. Kasi ang idea kasi sa PPP, ang gobyerno ang nagsolicit eh.
Correct.
Tapos, ang mahirap doon, paano mo i-bid out kung kulang sa detalya?
Ngayon, Governor, ano po yung maipapanukala niyo? Halimbawa, kung kailangan ng remedyo o repair work, itong Maharlika, somewhere along the way, ayan na yung mga problema na nakikitang uusbong o umusbong na. Paano yung remedy?
Hindi, ang tingin ko, the law as it was already revised by the Senate has put in you have to give credit also to the senators. They were asking difficult questions.
Correct.
So I think the law as passed will do. So what we have to watch out for is, can the president use this opportunity to tell really bright people to say, this is your chance to shine. This is your chance to improve the economy. I invite you to come join and manage the fund. And then when we see those names at nakita natin, nandyan si X, nandyan si Y, mukhang serious. So yun sa akin, tabantayan ko kung sino ang mga tinawag ng presidente para magsilbi. By the way, ang aking assessment, yung mga talagang magagaling will be reluctant, will not volunteer themselves. Kaya ang dapat talaga, maghahanap ng presidente at pakikiusap.
All right. Okay.
So, yeah, I know, sabi ng presidente sa kanila, I know you're doing something very lucrative. This may make you less money, but 30 years from now, you will still be remembered.
All right. But who wants to be remembered kung ang sakuna pwedeng manggaling doon sa mga lobbies o pwedeng mangungurakot o silip ng
opportunity. Bigyan natin ng pagkakataon. Kasi and I think magiging obvious naman just from the choice of the first set of people where it's going. Doon na lang mag-criticize pag nakita na hindi yata ito yung mga dream team na iniisip natin. Yung mga parts na possibly risky to the BSP has been removed.
Okay,
let me give you an example. May isang version niya na ang contribution ng BSP is a certain percentage of remittances. Bakit nakakatakot yun? Unang-una, yung remittances hindi na available, na gastos na yun sa imports
Correct.
So therefore, sa reserves namin magagaling yun. Di ba? Kasi unang-una, yung remittances, hindi naman sa amin yun.
Ba't yung gagastusin?
Hindi, pag kami yung gumastos, di reserves namin nagagastusin namin.
Correct.
So natanggal na yung mga ganong versions at ito namang natitira. I cannot speak for Land Bank and DBP, but I don't think this will impair. Tinitingnan ko yung size na contribution nila relative to their own sizes. Hindi siya mga game, hindi siya ganong ka-critical doon sa dalawang ahensya na yun.
Okay. Ang GSIS at SSS, parang merong konting kwentuhan doon. Sabi ng Senado, talagang lockout. Ang sabi naman nila, Senate Budget Secretary Joke, no, hindi naman, pwede naman sila sa projects mag-invest. Hindi sila as in equity shareholder. Ano tingin nyo doon? SSS at GSIS, pwede ba pumusta sa mga proyekto ng Maharlika?
Actually, they're allowed to invest in infrastructure PPPs,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So the question there is how much do you trust the people who are making the decision?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Kasi kung it turns out na maganda naman, bakit mo sila ipagbabawal?
Mm-hmm. So,
Ang mahirap dito, there's quite a bit of doubt about their independence.
correct. Okay.
Ngayon, ang problema talaga is clearly, and I don't blame the people for this because of our long history, pagka may presumption na Murphy's Law,
Anything could go wrong, Will.
if anything can go wrong, it will. Ano? Talagang hindi, mahirap talaga sa mga taong magtiwala given our history. Pero, nandiyan na yan, the effort has been there, both the House and the Senate has spent a lot of time on it. And I think they put in the safeguards. And if we all do our part, which is speak up when we disagree, then I think it's less likely that the fund will be abused.
Sige sir, sa panghuli, ngayon kayo'y parang retired again from government service, retired as GSIS pension member, no? A member. Tapos binalik sa pwesto, NEDA, at kung ano-anong trabaho, naging secretary at naging Bangko Central Governor. Ito ba parang tipong konting suspended animation lang ang inyong serbisyo publiko? Sa ano yung next steps for you? Will you be teaching?
I'm 73 years old. I think there are a lot of people who are younger and more capable than me and will have the stamina. So, kasi iba rin pagka, ang aking, i-observe ko yung sarili ko, yung physically, crossing from 50 to 60 affected me physically but not mentally.
All right.
But then, I guess, crossing from 69 to 73, marang mas madali na ako makatulog pagka hindi interesting yung naririnig ko. Okay, so I think at tingin ko, no, mas mabuti sa akin yung kung may tatanggap sa akin, go back to academe and maybe have more time to think and write.
All right. If you were to write, anong tututukan yung isulat?
Well, I think I think I will focus on institutions and development.
Okay.
Ang aking kasing belief is huwag kang mag-design ng system na masyado nangangailangan ng maraming santo. Huwag masyadong complex yung mga dapat gawin. Because the more complex it is, the greater the likelihood of failure. Halimbawa, of course, kung talagang napakagaling ng gobyerno, it could even have industrial policy.
Correct.
Anong mga industriya na lugi ngayon pero tubo in the future na ayaw puntahan ng private sector. Doon tayo. By the way, pag tinignan mo history ng Taiwan, Korea and Japan,
China.
Ang sinabi ng Korea, saan ba magaling ang Japan? Doon din tayo. Hindi natin kaya ngayon, pero paano natin? The only way we will be able to is we must do it first. Kasi learning by doing eh. So, pag tinignan mo yung mga bansa na successful, napakalaking role ng gobyerno sa industrial planning.
Correct.
Ang tingin ko in many countries, that will be disastrous because instead of being focused on the basics, it will go into things where it will fail, and then it will not be able to do what it should do, which is education, peace and order,
health,
nutrition, and all those things. Ano? policies must take into account not just where markets fail, because clearly if markets fail, policy, that's a starting point where policies may work.
All right.
But if, on the other hand, the ability of government is limited, its intervention does not succeed, and it ends up not having resources for more basic things.
Okay, on that note, kami po ay nagpapasalamat at nagko-congratulate for being free again. Ano po, ang katatapos lang ng kanyang tenure bilang governor ng Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, si Dr. Philip Medalla. Magandang araw, sir, at congratulations at best wishes sa inyong susunod na paglalakbay. Sabi niyo gusto niyo yata magbiyahe. Parang habang may panahon, go for it. Magandang araw, sir.
Magandang araw din, Malu. Thank you for having me.